Brian, thank you for coming on to
Yeah,
Winning the Home Game.
yeah,
And you primarily live and your work is in Snoqualmie, which is one of the most beautiful places on the planet, truly.
yes,
I grew up, hiking in that
yep,
area and it's just green, 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 so
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
But do you remember how we first met?
I do.
Okay, great.
You want me to tell it?
Yes, yes.
So it's interesting because as a broker, people come to us all the time, and a lot of times they don't come with a lender, and so they're always asking us. And I remember giving this client a couple options, and I think they called one of them. It doesn't really matter. Anyways, long story short, they said, Brian, that person you gave us was amazing, but we really want you to talk to Julie. And I said, great, let's do it. And here we are.
Right.
Well, that was
Yeah,
2020,
I think so.
2021. Somewhere it must have
Yeah,
been in there
about 5 years
right after
ago.
the COVID vibes and all that. But
Right.
yeah, we haven't looked back since. I mean,
Yeah, and
shoot, it was
it's
it
been so
was
fun.
pretty amazing to get that intro. And I knew when they were telling me about why they liked you, and I knew it was going to be a good fit. So
Well, your
yeah.
clients are amazing. They're all so nice. And is it that everybody who's buying over there is just so wonderful and
Oh,
kind? I mean, that's what I feel like. I
oh,
hope that's not too strange to say, but they're
yeah.
all great and you're just so professional and they
Mm,
trust you. And I joke around when I talk to the clients that, that we get to work together with. I say he's the king of Snoqualmie.
mm,
And like, oh yeah, he is.
oh,
So it's been wonderful.
oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Making me blush.
Ah.
Making me blush.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So let's get into some questions because
Yeah,
these questions actually, I don't know all the answers. So I'm excited
love
to
it.
ask you these questions. So for listeners meeting you for the first time, what led you into real estate and what inspired you to build Snoqualmie Valley Real Estate?
Yeah. Um, it's interesting. I get that question a lot, the building part. But what led me into real estate was honestly by luck and by chance. Getting out of the Navy, I didn't have a job, and so I needed a job, and so I got with a headhunter, and she's like, "I got this great position," and I said, "Let's roll," and she said, "But it's a receptionist," and I said, "Oh, okay, sure." And it was at a commercial real estate firm called Regency Centers. So they're largest grocery anchor based shopping center company in the country, based out of Florida, publicly traded, massive offices all around the country. So I got on with them and started learning the commercial real estate craft, property management, asset management, lease negotiations, got my license, got promoted, went from, basically assistant to assistant property management to leasing, and then I got into asset management with Andy Locke for a bit. And so that was kind of 7 years of commercial real estate and kind of
Wow.
cut my teeth there. Um, I kind of always joke that the commercial brokers that it's a different world than
Mm.
residential. I won't say that it's boring, but I'll say that it's a different vibe.
Is it less rewarding?
Oh, I think so,
Yeah.
100%, because when you're helping families on the
Mm.
residential side, you're giving them a chance to make memories. You're giving
Right.
them a chance to change their family tree. You're giving them a chance to deal with
Mm.
a big move and a big change.
Right.
The commercial side, I learned a ton. It wasn't for me. But what's funny is now all of a sudden I'm back to doing commercial. About 20% of my work is commercial
Okay.
and land. And so it's about, 80-20
Hmm.
residential to commercial and all that.
That's
So,
great.
so it was by luck,
I think that's
flat
great. You're
out.
doing both.
Yeah.
That's spectacular.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, uh, why I started Snoqualmie Valley real estate is pretty straightforward from my perspective. And that is, I was trying to find a way to separate myself when I got back into residential real estate. And newsflash, not many people are searching for broker Brian on the interwebs. And
No.
so I was like, well, how am I gonna get clients? What am I gonna do? And I knew eventually that I wanted to have a firm. I knew eventually I wanted to have my own shop. I wasn't there yet, but
Mhm.
it was coming. And so, I just we live in North Bend. Snoqualmie Valley is, I kind of always say there's only one Snoqualmie Valley on the planet. That's why there's only one Snoqualmie Valley real estate. And so when I had that inkling that kind of that time is now, you kind of feel it, and that was 2016, and I'm doing my research, and it was just kind of perfect timing because really the valley is really insulated, and some would say isolated. But for a long time, you couldn't, as a broker, most of them couldn't earn a living just selling in the valley. And so no one had that firm name. No one had the DBA. No one had anything. And I just started jumping on, domain names, license name, DBA, just setting myself up for it all to play out in a 10-year window. And that's where it's at.
That's amazing. How many years now since Snoqualmie's been open?
I mean, I branded in 2016 while I was still with another firm, kind of doing a DBA action there. But as my own firm, really, it's been since late 2020 is when I officially, state license and all that stuff. Went solo and opened the shop, by myself. And the first question I would always get would be, how many people are you bringing on?
Right.
How many brokers?
Right.
And I would always, be in shock a little bit and be like, none. I wanted to strip it away to the bare bones, and I wanted to see what I could do by myself and really get after it with that, that grit and hustle and kind of scrappiness and kind of punch above my weight by myself and see how that played out before bringing on brokers just to bring them on.
And now how many brokers do you have?
Now we've got 3 others besides me. We had last year we had a few. Brokers are changing all the time.
Right.
People don't realize that. So I'm less inclined to just bring more.
Right.
I need, they need to be a great fit. And I feel like the 3 that we have right now are great. And someday there's going to be somebody else that's going to come along. And I'm open to, to learning and growing that way too.
The great fit is the most important thing.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
You know better than me on that.
Well, no, yeah, I experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
There was a time where I wanted to just, get people in here to, to bring the energy, but it's really about who you bring in and if they fit in your culture and if they can contribute. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny. I think we've talked about. I mean, you read so much, and we've shared. But the energy bus, culture drives behavior,
Yes.
behavior drives habits, habits create the future. And that book, it's stuck with me for so long. I've read it a couple times, but it's so true. You can't let, the energy bus is real. Keep out the vampires, all that stuff.
That's
So,
right. Exactly.
Yeah, so
Love it. Okay. So for first-time buyers considering Snoqualmie Valley, what should they know before starting their search?
this is a great question because the Snoqualmie Valley, first of all, is, to let people know, it's really made up of 6 towns. And it's based on where the river starts and ends. And so it starts in the mountains, so that's Snoqualmie Pass. And then it comes down valley, Snoqualmie Pass, North Bend, Snoqualmie, Fall City, Carnation, and Duval. And those are the 6 major communities. We can throw in Preston there and all that stuff. But it's important to know that when you come out to the valley, I always say you're going to have character, charm, and choices. You just might not have as many as you want. And so, I tell buyers early, depending on their price point, we might only have 5 choices. And you might only like 2 of them.
Right.
And so we got to be ready. And we got to get after it, and we got to do our preparation early. The athlete coach mentality, the military background, we prep early. We get them ready. We do a buyer boot camp, and so I run them through the contract so that when that one house does come on, we can go after it. And so, long story short is inventory is limited because of our constraints of the valley. And so they don't have 50 choices. They're not going to, if they want to be in North Bend and they want to be under $1 million,
Right.
they got 3 neighborhoods. Let's go.
Let's go.
If they want to be in Snoqualmie and they want to be, on the ridge, off the ridge, okay, well, now we got that. If they want to be, kind of rural setting acreage homes, we got 5 different corners for that. If they want to be Lower Valley versus Upper Valley, if they want to be Duval versus Snoqualmie. So it's really about dialing in those preferences and parameters and really dialing in their lifestyle. I mean, I talk to so many buyers early and often, and I say, don't tell me how much you want to spend. Tell me what do you want to do on the weekend?
Right.
What do you want to do after you get off work? What do you want your kids to experience? Not how much you want to spend.
Right.
Because all of that stuff we'll figure out.
Right. I love that. Okay. So buying property with land, which is, what Snoqualmie Valley is all about, is different than buying in the city. What should buyers understand about wells, septics, zoning? 'Cause
Yeah.
that's a bunch of that stuff over there.
Yeah. So another consistent question we get is regarding these kind of things. So the easy one is zoning. Kind of lop that out real quick because zoning, that's a county thing, obviously city jurisdictions and all that. It is what it is, right? Like you're either going to be in city limits in North Bend, Snoqualmie, or whatever, Duval, and you're going to be on sewer, you're going to be on, city water and all that stuff. When we get into rural King County outside of the city limits, those zonings, they're just not as dynamic as people think, right? We don't have, 40-acre parcels that you get to chop up, to 8 homes. It's just not realistic. So whether you're on 5 acres or 2 or a half acre, the zoning is you're going to be in rural King County and, you can have a home business, all that stuff. So that's kind of that piece. The thing about wells and septic, especially for folks, a lot of buyers that you send me are coming from Seattle and, city proper limits. And so they get thrown off by even hearing the word septic and well.
Right.
Like, what does that even mean? So how we coach them up is a reminder that a vast majority of the country is on septic and wells, right? I mean, there's still a lot of people that live outside of city limits. And so it's not as scary as you might think.
Right.
So that's number one. Bring them down, put them at ease in that. If other people can do it, you can do it, kind of thing. And then it's, hey, with septics, we have the contingency. The state kind of requires the pass off, and so it's going to be inspected. It's going to be, you're going to be able to be at the inspection. You're going to be able to see it, and I've seen plenty. And so, understanding what a septic, how it works, and how it, how it impacts your property is the key there. And then as far as wells, you're either having a private well on your property or you're having a shared well with another homeowner. So they could be, that could be 2 people, 2 parcels sharing a well, or they could be up to, 6, 8 in the kind of Class B well system. So depending on the scenario, we just kind of talk through that. You can have a well inspection. And get those things going and make sure you're sure of it and all that.
So you've dealt with a lot of wells and septic. So would you say that overall everything usually is fine and it's rare that it's not?
Yeah, it's one quick story that's always stuck out to me is early on, handful of years back, I was talking to a couple and they were like, "Hey, we had to run away from a deal because the septic failed." And I was like, why? Why did you do that? I mean, you love the house. Why did you? Well, our broker told us it was impossible. Well, that was the first mistake, right? So if a septic inspection comes about and it fails, what does that mean? There's different components. And so not to get in the weeds, but it could be a simple, straightforward fix. It could be a whole system fix. We don't know. And so that's what we've got to figure out. And then just, have the seller pay for it. They want to sell the house.
Right.
we'll work it out in the numbers. It'll come out. It'll be all right.
I think
So,
that's probably an advantage, for buyers to work with somebody like you who knows land, who knows septics, who knows wells,
Yeah.
to work with somebody if they're buying in that
Yeah.
area there. Okay.
yeah.
Great. All right. Are you where are buyers finding, or where are you finding the best opportunities right now over there? Or are there any?
Are there any? No. No. Best opportunities. Ugly houses still win, you know. I kind of always joke, it's a choose your hard adventure for buyers. Uh, you know, well, let me back up just a touch. I'm not the broker that walks into a place that gets excited about appliances, and I tell people that day one. I get excited about opportunities for the client. Um, and so what I mean by that is choose your hard. You can pay for their work, the shiny and new, or you can do it on your own, right? Or on your own. And so if we're looking for those opportunities, then, case in point, last year, had a client, they wanted to be under 700 grand. And they had another broker tell them it was impossible. So they called me and I was like, well, there's one right now. Let's go get it. And it was
Wow.
like 685.
Wow.
And it was terrible pictures, ugly paint colors, the whole deal, and big furniture in small places. And we went through that, and it was sitting there, and we got them a screaming deal. And they've put their own sweat equity into it, and now it is a stunning little rambler on good sized lot, and they love it.
I love that story.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Great job. What type of buyers are you seeing drawn to this area right now? And I know when I talk to your clients, a lot of the time it's like, oh, we just love the outdoor activity. So what are you seeing?
Yeah. We see a lot of families. We see a lot of young couples, often with professional, quote unquote, white collar jobs. But, we've got a lot of trades, folks that are out there that are getting great homes. And I help those as well, obviously. So the biggest draw is the lifestyle. And so, that's, bar none, that's the easy
The
answer.
hikers, the skiers.
The people that want to be outside in a blink versus,
Right.
a hour drive. And so
Right.
I like to joke, I've sold more houses, from here to downtown Seattle with no stoplight and 2 minutes to the river than
Nice.
anyone else. And
Right.
so when you have that opportunity to be out to the parks, to the trails, to the rivers, to the mountains, to whatever you want to do outside, when you have that option to be out in less than 10 minutes and be in true, what feels like to most people wilderness, it's a pretty powerful draw. That plus the beauty, is pretty easy to understand why.
Right.
And then obviously the small towns, cherry on top of that. I mean, there's less than 80,000 people in the whole Snoqualmie Valley.
Right.
And, for example, like North Bend has one stoplight in downtown,
That's crazy.
and we have 3 in all of city limits.
Wow.
And then Snoqualmie, if you want to be truthful about it, Snoqualmie does not have a stoplight in their downtown, historic downtown. There's, they're up on the ridge,
Right.
but that's a different deal. So
Interesting.
yeah, people want it, the lifestyles, the community, it's just vibrant communities, and, all the towns are thriving. You only got 2 choices for a town, thriving or not. And so people want to be outside.
What's the drive from North Bend to like Bellevue?
I mean,
Because they're completely different areas.
I mean, for me, because my wife's probably watching this, 25 minutes, but Leadfoot, no. Yeah, I mean, look, we're to Issaquah. We're to Issaquah in the big boxes in 15 minutes
Right,
from
so
our house.
Costco's at Issaquah.
Yeah,
So it's-
100%. There's nothing, I joke all the time. It's like, look, you can still get Costco delivered. Amazon still delivers, but you have to go pick up your pizza. Sorry,
right,
like you
yeah.
can't have everything,
Right.
right?
Oh, big things.
No,
Interesting. I didn't know
no,
that.
no. Yeah,
Okay.
you get pizza delivered. It's all
Okay.
good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah.
yeah. No, it's 25 minutes to Bellevue. I mean, coming to your office here, we're here in 35 minutes.
Yeah. That's true. Okay. So it's amazing how you can come from Seattle to the Snoqualmie Valley, and it's just completely a different world. So
100%.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Just you just feel at peace.
And it really it's the setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the thousands of acres of protected land and thousands of acres of wilderness and you know borrowed views, right? I tell people all the time, like, hey, you might not. Everyone wants a view house, but you know what? Let's get one that works for you because you're going to have the views every minute when you're
That's
out
right.
here.
That's right.
And so, getting those borrowed views, you come around I-90, your shoulders are going to drop. Hopefully, you drive slower. We got a few new people that are driving a little too fast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little too much. But no, it's cool. It's fun.
Okay. All right, here we go. This is a segment called Home Stretch. So, what's one thing you wish your client knew or understood before making an offer? And there could be a lot of things here, but what stands out in your mind?
What stands out about before making an offer? Well, and hopefully we've done this in the preparation, and hopefully we've covered this many times. Like I said, I do a buyer boot camp, and we do a dry run, and I put pressure on them, and we got to write this offer in 20 minutes, get it signed, and I got to deliver it and all that stuff. So we've taken that segment out of it,
I love
so that they feel confident. But they really need to understand the power of of the incremental gaps or the movement in the dollars, right? So if someone is at, hey, I only want to be at $800,000, and you say, great, well, 825, right, might win you the deal, and it only changes your mortgage payment per month by $100.
$100.
Okay, so let's really get an apples to apples comparison. We know that the 800 to the 825 is probably not impacting your down payment, right? And so it's these negligible kind of cash flow conversations versus the sticker price. And so that's kind of the biggest thing that I hope that we've talked about many times, so that they can see, like, all right, if I want to win this house, and I always preach this, I get you ready to compete. Notice there's not a you might compete. Like, we're always expecting to write in multiple bid situations. And whether we're the only one or there's 3 or 10, to me, it doesn't really matter. If I've got a client that's ready mentally to get their offers strong enough with the levers that we're pulling, that's just not price, because that there's a lot of levers in that offer to pull.
So good. Love it. All right, a little fun one here. What's one money tip you live by? Do you have one? Several, probably.
So yeah, no, yeah, and so this one little context, I'm probably abnormal in real estate world, and that is, I don't get excited about the leverage game and all that. For most of my clients, money's a big deal, and so we gotta make sure that they are that we're protecting their money. So that's when I'm helping clients, is that I tell them right away that my job is to protect your money. I don't mess around. I don't sell shoes and suits. So that's on the business side. On the personal side, it's spend less than you make. Pretty straightforward.
Right.
J.L. Collins, Morgan Housel, Ramsey, all those guys, big influences in our family's life, and it's paid off
I love that.
extremely well.
That's great. All right, what's one must-have kitchen appliance, household item that you can't live without?
My frother.
Your frother.
Yeah.
Is it the frother with the handle or the frother in a like a?
Nah, just a little, like a
Okay.
little travel frother,
Okay.
you
What do you
know,
froth?
just
Cream?
just a little half and half and little
Nice.
vanilla. Yeah, got it. And we took the frother. We took it to the
Yeah.
beach last weekend.
I
Yeah,
have one too. They're
yeah,
the
I
best.
fly with it. We travel with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's so good.
yeah. Little frother.
Okay.
And
Okay.
probably an oven, I would imagine.
An oven
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
if I
Air
had to choose
fryer?
one appliance,
Yeah.
I would need a stove.
Do you have an air fryer? A lot
No,
of families, I don't think, have more single people, probably younger people have
yeah,
them.
we don't have a ton of counter space,
Hmm.
and we don't like a bunch of stuff on the counter. So right now I just don't have the room. I mean, we've got a
Yeah.
crock pot, and
Yeah.
what about you?
Nice. Yeah, I have. Well, we have an air fryer
No,
here in
the
the
one
office.
appliance.
Oh, the one appliance? Oh, my coffee maker, because I have to have coffee, maybe 2 or 3 cups a day.
Well, good thing I brought you coffee
Yeah,
today.
I know you did. That's amazing. Okay, back to real estate. How does pricing, competition, and lifestyle here compare to Seattle or Bellevue?
Yeah, you know, it, look, I'm not going to pretend that,
Straight.
I help
It's,
a ton of
yeah.
people in Seattle. I have some ideas of what impacts buyers and sellers out here, for sure. But, I really dive into, my area and stuff. And so I guess I think the biggest thing that, again, people that I focus on is that when they come out my way versus Seattle, Bellevue, proper 405, I-5, we have the less choices. And so
Mm,
the prices here, if you're shopping, for, 1.2, you might have some wiggle room up and down in that. Whereas when you come out to the valley, if you're in that range, we're probably not going up and down a ton in that regard. And I think the other thing is, prices, the activity moves east
mm,
in the year, and so we'll see early activity come down I-90,
mm-hmm,
and I'll watch the days on market, and I'll watch
mm.
the multiple bids, and it's like just progresses down I-90 towards us, and then it'll kind of falter off, and so we'll have an influx early in the year. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
everyone's favorite New Year's resolution, right? Lose weight and buy a house,
right,
right?
right.
And so as soon as that calendar turns, our phones start ringing, and then when the Seahawks lose, then they'll start
That's right.
coming again too.
They'll start coming out
Yeah.
again. I know. All right. What should move-up buyers consider when comparing newer developments versus more established homes? And here in Seattle, we don't have new developments, right? But over there, there's lots more land. So, what would you say?
Use a trusted broker.
Okay.
Uh, don't go to the builder. Look, the builders love them to death. They they've got those sales rep, and I mean they are in a funnel system when you go visit
And they
the
work for the builder.
100%,
Right.
right? 100%. And so they're gonna squeeze you down a path that you didn't
Hmm.
even realize you were on.
Right.
And a lot of it's about upsales and upgrades, right? That are just overblown in
Hmm.
terms of price points. So you're gonna, and in fact, we just filmed a new video on this, but you're gonna go into that model home and you're gonna see the Cadillac. You're gonna see the the best of the
The
best.
best.
Every single corner of that house is gonna be an upsell opportunity, and you're gonna get overwhelmed probably by that
Hmm.
subconsciously, and you're gonna walk out and go, "How come this one doesn't have it?" And it's like, yeah, you can for 50
Hmm.
grand, 80 grand, 100 grand more,
Right.
and it's just not going to pay off that. So that's number one is, be aware that their job is to mark up those, especially in
Upgrades.
new
Yeah.
construction, because they have to get the next round. They have to be higher, so
Hmm.
they're going to they're going to change the price after two are under contract or three,
Right.
whatever their number is, two or three usually.
Right.
And once they get those two under contract, the next group's going. And so that's the biggest thing to know. The other thing to know is that those, I say this a lot to people, um, and that is, if it's just a square footage house, if it doesn't have the wow factor, if it doesn't have the pop, and you bought a new construction, you know, and you got to move in 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
we better be really sure about that price that we landed at, because that's not going to pay off as quickly as a traditional resale will.
Right.
So you buy that new construction, and for whatever happens, you got to leave in, you know, sooner than 2 years, sooner than 5.
Mm-hmm.
It could be tight.
Right.
It could be dicey.
Right.
And so we got to be aware of that.
That's really great. So you also list homes. What percentage
Some
of your
days.
business is listing versus helping buyers?
Yeah, it comes in waves. You know, I'll preface it with that there's a lot of ways to make a living in real estate, and a lot of brokers, in fact, are taught to, you know, list or die, right, is the mantra. Which
You
is,
love buyers.
I know, I love buyers.
I know
Yeah,
you do.
no, I love buyers. I'd help a buyer every day of the week if I
Right.
could. It's just more dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I had a listing appointment just this past week, and he found me on ChatGPT and all that stuff. But I knew who I was going up against, and I told him flat out, I'm like, yeah, they list more houses than me, but you know, here's why that might not work for you. But anyways,
Did you get it? Did you get it?
No, no, it's fine. It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's all good. How much? What's the percent? It kind of fluctuates. I mean, last year I was just about 50-50 on 30
Oh,
plus
wow.
deals.
Okay.
Yep. And so, you know, we did 40 million last year. You know, over 40 sides. So yeah, it was about 50-50 last year. Sometimes it's 80-20.
I think that's a well-rounded broker because you have the perspective of what a buyer wants,
Yeah.
and then also what a seller needs.
Yeah,
So,
and I think too, like, there's so many people coming at them. Let me list your house. Let me list your house. Whereas the buyers are often an afterthought. And so, rewind to when I started my branding and doing all these things. I'm like, you know what? If everyone's waving left, I'm going to wave right. And I wanted to help buyers primarily to find a different lane and stand out. And I'm the, you know, 5 straight years at #1 buyer broker in North Bend and Snoqualmie. So,
wow,
yeah.
it's amazing. So what should sellers focus on before listing their home to get themselves up, set themselves up for success?
Find a trusted broker. No,
I think that's important. for
no,
sure.
I mean, we really have to have a conversation about expectations of price point.
Okay.
That's #1. Are we going to, you only get 3 choices: aspirational, market, or below market. That's it. So if you want to be aspirational, show me why. Let's
I
talk
like how you
about
say aspirational. Do you really mean emotional?
Probably. Probably. Yeah. Yeah. There, you know, it's a hard thing because sellers often, their house is the best
Right.
and it's great.
Right.
It's probably not the best. Or it might be so your style, right? That it's, you know,
I think
off-putting to a lot of people.
normal to feel that way. I mean,
Yeah.
when I sold my last property, I felt like, oh, wow, it should be worth more than
Yeah.
that. And I'm in the business and
Yeah.
I felt that way.
Yeah.
So I can
It's a
understand that.
natural thing. Like you're going to want to, you know, and, you know, and I've talked to a lot of sellers, I mean, family members and all this stuff. And so what do we do? What do we focus on? Talking about where we're going to be. Are we going to be an aspirational? Are we going to be a market? And with that, I tell the seller all the time in those interviews, and they'll say something like, oh, I don't want to leave money on the table. And I'll be like, that's great. Of course, no one would ever want to feel that way, but wouldn't you rather negotiate up versus down? Right? And so if we can dial things in, if we can prepare it and then promote it and then price it appropriately, now we can leave that room for the negotiation up, right? And so that's the thing there. Getting it ready. Everyone's doing this. We're doing this every week. You know, I've got contractors coming through. Paint, carpet, landscaping. First and foremost, can we make it smell and look pretty,
Right.
right? Can we remove you? The best thing I tell a seller to do is to leave,
Right.
right?
Move
So
out.
we can clean it up, stage it, and do all those things. And if that's not possible, how can we work within that? Maybe you're gone for the first week of being on market, things like that.
So is that so the buyer can imagine themselves living in the home without pictures of their family?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's important, but I think too, depending on the time of the market and the type of house, every house is obviously different. But if we got a neighborhood house that's 3-car garage and a bunch of bedrooms and it's priced right, like we're gonna have a ton of showings. You might want to think about being gone for a few days because that phone is, we're gonna be
Right.
having those showings. They might cancel on you,
Right.
or us. And so, the in and out and
Yeah.
with kids or dogs and pets and all that stuff, like that gets hard. And
Right.
so that's why I say like, let's try to find a way to be out of the
That's
house.
great advice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Last question here. What changes do you expect to see in Snoqualmie Valley over the next decade? Ooh, are you a fortune teller and all that? Tell us.
Yeah. Fortune tellers. The next decade, we're going to see kind of a completed build out of North Bend for sure. There's really only one more development that's available, and that just broke ground this year. There'll be more infill. Snoqualmie, when you've got the Ridge versus downtown historic Snoqualmie, the Ridge is built out, and so you'll see more infill, kind of refreshes of historic Snoqualmie. Carnation is still growing, much to those folks chagrin down there. But the reality is they've got the space for it, and
It's crazy.
it's Duval kind of that same way. It's like I kind of always tell people those towns are still going to keep building till they can't, and who gets to be the last to shut the gate,
Right.
right? And
Right.
who gets to tell that often farmer, that they can't sell their property, right? Because grandma and grandpa probably didn't have 401k match from Fortune 500 company, and that's all they got.
Are you saying Carnation is going to be the next hotspot?
Yeah. No, no. I mean, it's just it's the smallest town in the valley. Falls City, is a little bit bigger. Carnation is just it's been, it's a little bit more isolated. They don't have as much. They're building the infrastructure up. The town is super charming and cute and beautiful, and they've got farmers market and live music every week and
Ooh,
all the things. Yeah, so it's great. And then yeah, you also have new homes that are going in there, and yeah, that's what they're gonna do.
Are prices less expensive in Carnation than North Bend?
Mm. The medians, well, the median in North Bend got skewed a touch this in 2025. The medians basically 1.3, and that got skewed because of the new construction price points. The average is closer to right at $1 million.
Wow.
And then in Carnation, I don't remember on 2025 numbers, but yeah, it's right up there. The whole
Right up
valley is
there.
pretty much, the median is about $1 million.
Wow, that's
950,
crazy. That's
that kind of
crazy, yeah.
range.
Okay. Well, Brian Davis, thank you so much. Such good stuff. I learned that you were in the
Aw.
Navy, and I did not know that. So there are a few other
Yeah,
things that
there you
I
go.
I learned. But
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's just really evident that if you want to live in the valley, you have to work with somebody local there that knows all of this because there's so much to learn. And when you're spending that kind of money, you want to make sure that you're aligning yourself with the right team. So
I
they
appreciate
all
that.
need to go to you over there.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah, we do town tours.
Okay.
Talk about corners of town that they've never even seen or heard of, and I pay the elk to show up on the town tour, and maybe even the mountain goats. But
Love it.
yeah, so
Well,
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you for
Say
having
hi
me.
to Nikki and the kids for me.
Of course.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.